Desert Island Discs. Each week, a well-known person is asked the question, if you were to be cast away alone on a desert island, which 8 gramophone records would you choose to have with you? Assuming, of course, that you also had a gramophone. As usual, today's castaway is introduced by Roy Plomley.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? On our desert island this week, I'm happy to welcome ashore as our castaway one of the great orchestral conductors of the world, Leopold Stokowski. Well, Mr. Stokowski, I can't imagine how many times some of the records you've made have been heard on this island. How do you think you'd react to being cast away alone on an island? Did you think you could reconcile yourself to the loneliness?
Yes, I do think it would be very restful, provided it didn't last too long.
Well, that's a question of how hopeful you are, isn't it? Now, you have 8 records to take with you. Generally, what would you say has guided your choice? What tests, what have you looked for in the music that you've chosen?
I think, first of all, variety, because it might be rather monotonous on this island. Of course, it depends on the climate of the island and what birds are singing there, because I'm a great lover of bird music and many other things. So I thought of variety. Then I also thought of only 8, that's very little, because I would like to have 8,000 records.
Yes.
But so I started with my favorite composer, Bach.
Mm-hmm. Which piece?
Well, there are 26 big volumes of Bach's music, most of which is still unknown to most people. But I like very much the chorale preludes, and I thought there's one called Nu komm, der Heiden Heiland, and that's the one I'd like to hear, I think.
Yes. Would you like to hear the organ record or your own orchestral arrangement?
Well, they're both, I shouldn't say mine is good, I suppose, but I think I like to hear the orchestral part, because I think it has more variety of timbre than is possible on the organ of Bach's time.
What's your second choice?
Well, I'm a great lover of the music of Mozart and of his character. I think he was an extraordinary man, a man of great range of personality, much more than is generally thought. So I would like to hear from his Requiem, the music he composed at the last, the Rex Tremendae.
Did you hear a lot of music in your home as a child?
Yes, I always wanted to be a musician since I can remember, since I was 4 or 5 years old.
And when you left school, you studied at the Royal College here in London?
Yes, I studied at the Royal College, and I feel I owe a very great debt to the Royal College. It's a wonderful institution. After that, I studied in Paris, and later in München, and later in Berlin.
When you had finished your studies, what was your first professional engagement?
I never finished my studies. I haven't finished them yet. I've been studying all day today, and I'll be studying all day tomorrow and for the rest of my life, because conducting is very, very difficult and very complicated. And a modern orchestra is very complex.
I'm sure of that. But you didn't begin as a conductor, did you?
The first time I conducted was when I was 12. And that was also here in England. At that time, I was the pianist for a chorus, and we were rehearsing one night, and conductor did not come, and it was the last rehearsal before the concert, and so somebody said to me, one of the singers, could you conduct this rehearsal? And, you know, boys are very confident, and I said, well, of course I can. And so I stood up and conducted it, and then I conducted the concert afterwards, and that's how it began. But even before then, I wanted to be an orchestral conductor.
Yes.
Yes.
You were for a time an organist here in London, weren't you?
Yes. I played first the violin, then the viola, and then the piano, and then the organ. And now I play the greatest instrument of all, or I try to play it, and that's the modern orchestra.
Yes. Well, let's break off there and have another record. What have you chosen next?
Beethoven. I think the slow movement of Beethoven's 7th Symphony is simply divine. How such ideas fell down from heaven into the brain of a man like Beethoven, who was so human, is to me a great mystery. So let's play that.
What made you decide to go to America, Mr. Scofield?
I didn't decide. I was in London a long time ago. I lived in Jermyn Street, and a man came and said, I'm looking for an organist. And I've been to Parry. Parry was the great musician of those days. And another, Sir Charles Villiers Stanford. I've been to those two, and I said, I want a good organist, but I want a man who's not too British. Well, that wasn't a very tactful thing for him to say, but that's what he did say to them, and they said, please take Stokowski. We'd like him to go. So he offered me the position of St. Bartholomew's Church in New York. I was delighted because it was an adventure. I went there expecting to meet Indians and cowboys in the streets and was very disappointed at first.
Which was your first orchestra?
Well, I did a certain amount of conducting here in London and in Paris, but the first orchestra I had steadily was Cincinnati. After that it was Philadelphia.
Yes.
After that it was... I can't remember what came next, but...
the Philadelphia Orchestra, where you stayed for so many years, you made into one of the premier orchestras of the world. How long were you in Philadelphia?
I was there from 15 to 35. That's
Yes.
20 years, yes.
Well, since then, since you left Philadelphia in the 30s, you've been moving about quite a lot.
I love to travel. I would like to travel every day of my life. I think I'm just a vagabond.
Yes.
It's delightful to be going to different countries and conducting different orchestras because the personalities of the players are always so different.
Mm-hmm. You're in command, too, at the moment of the Houston Symphony Orchestra, aren't you?
Yes, at present I am conducting 3 orchestras in the United States. One in New York, one in Hollywood, and one in Texas.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's have some more music now. What's number 4?
Let us play Brahms, because I love his music. It's so profound. And at the same time, he is, in my opinion, a very romantic composer. Let's play the slow movement from his 3rd symphony.
Although so far you've been choosing classical composers for your desert island, Mr. Stokowski, you've always been a great friend to modern composers and insisting on including a lot of contemporary music in your programs. Who among the younger modern composers that you've come into contact with do you think are likely to make the biggest contribution?
Well, of course, the obvious one, like Shostakovich, and there's an unknown one in America named Hovhannes. I think is a very great talent. But there are talented composers all over the world today.
You've made intensive studies of Eastern music, and in Eastern countries they seem to be taking to our Western music. Have we much to learn from them, do you think?
Very much. I've been twice to India and to China and Japan and Java and Bali and Persia and the Arabic countries to study their systems of music, because they have languages of music quite different from our Western language of music. And I think we have much to learn from them, and they have much to learn from us.
Surely. Let's have some more music. What's your fifth choice?
Well, I am a great lover of Debussy. When I was a student in Paris a long time ago, I heard Debussy play the piano, and I also heard him conduct. And of course his music, I think, he was a great genius. For example, Sirène, the third part of his Trois Nocturnes, is, I think, an extraordinary piece of mysterious music. Let's play that.
How long ago did you start making records yourself?
I can't remember, but I remember that the first records we made, that was of course before electrical records, and we made them into a huge horn. It was like a great horn made of wood. It was enormous, and we pushed as many players as we could inside of that horn and made records that way. Of course, they were not very good, but those were the very early primitive days of records. Yeah. Now we record electrically and by magnetic process on tape, as you know, and that of course is much better. But in the future we will find, I'm sure we will invent much better ways of recording than we have at this present time.
Well, let's have some more music. Number 6 now.
I'm very fond of Russian music, and there have been so many great Russian composers, and there still are today, like Shostakovich and Prokofiev and Khachaturian and so forth. But Tchaikovsky is one of my favorite composers, and he wrote a little song which I call Solitude. That's a translation of certain parts of the poem. And I'd like to play that. It's written from the heart. I could almost say it's written from his lifeblood. Solitude of Tchaikovsky.
What sort of castaway do you think you're going to be on this island we've cast you away on, Mr. Stokowski? I mean, talking about a practical sense, how could you look after yourself? Have you any skills or crafts or hobbies that might be useful?
No, I'm the stupidest person in the world. But when I come onto that island, I look around and see how big it is, what the climate is like, and particularly what grows there, what fruits and herbs and things of that kind that grow, and what fish I could pull out of the sea.
Can you fish?
Can I fish? Well, no, but I'd find out how to do it, certainly.
When you caught some, could you cook some? You could.
Oh, yeah, I love to cook. And I would catch fish, and then I have to find out how to make fire, you see, by rubbing things together. But that can all be done, everything. My motto is, tout est possible. Everything is possible.
Well,
everything.
To the many honors and awards you've already received, we can add a first-class castaway's badge.
Oh, thank you.
What's the next record for the island?
Well, you know, there's the profound music of Bach, Beethoven, Brahms, etc., but there's also gay music and popular music, and I like that very much too. So let's see if we can find some jazz in this library of BBC. Of course, I don't know whether they'll have the same taste that I have, but let's try.
Quite a contrast to what's gone before. You've chosen practically no vocal music. Is that advisedly?
No, I don't know. I couldn't tell you why I didn't do that, but of course I love chorus music, and I love arias from Mozart's operas, Puccini and Verdi and all the rest of it. I don't know why I didn't. Mm-hmm. No reason for it. Do you have reasons for everything you do, monsieur?
Oh, I don't.
No, nor do I.
All right, good. Good. All right, now we come to your last one. What's that?
Ah, yes. You know, America is enormous. There's North America, South America, and Central America. Now, in Central America is Mexico, Guatemala. Those are beautiful countries. I often go there and conduct there and enjoy being with those people. I love those people. But down in South America, Brazil, Argentina, for example, in Argentina are tangos, which I think are beautiful. And they have a quality, they're different from the Spanish tango. They have a quality that's unique. And that is the southern part of South America. Let's play a tango.
There are your 8 records, Mr. Stokowski. Now, you've got one more choice to make. Every castaway is allowed one luxury article to take on the island.
How generous of you.
Nothing of any practical value.
I think, oh yes, definitely, not practical. My children. You know, Bach had 21 children. I only have 5. Could I have the 5 children?
I'm afraid not, no. The luxury article has to be inanimate.
How cruel of BBC. Well, I couldn't have my children. Could I have a dog? I love dogs.
Must be inanimate, I'm afraid.
Why must it be inanimate? Who made these rules?
I did.
You did. I know. I have an idea. I'd like a tape recorder.
Yes. How are you going to run your tape recorder?
Electricity, you mean?
No electricity.
Oh, that's the kind of island you've chosen for me. Well, I'll find a way to do it. I'll make electricity some way.
A water wheel, perhaps.
Yes, that's one way. The most primitive forms of electricity were by friction, and I'll find a way to do that.
Well, the best of luck.
And I will transcribe these records onto the tape, and also I will record the birds.
Fine. Well, thank you, Mr. Stokowski, for letting us hear your choice of desert island discs, and please come and see us. Come back to London more often.
Well, I won't be able to, because I understand you're leaving me on that island for the rest of my life.
Oh, we'll find a way to get you off.
Ah, you're most generous.
Goodbye, everyone.